Hey everyone, hopefully you're having a good day. My name's Andy. My channel is Finding Value. Again, I'm looking for the most undervalued, great opportunities for investments. And one of those great opportunities that is undervalued, where copper, that's my investment, I think the price can go far higher and they can't really bring much on for many years. It's just the way that copper mines work. They're usually gigantic in size. They take a ton of capital, and there just isn't that many great copper mines left in the world that are higher grades. They're all super low grade now. So we've got excellent opportunities in the copper arena that over the next 5, 6, 7 years, we could see massive moves because they can't really bring on a whole bunch of copper. And that's all at the same time that we're running a copper deficit, which means the demand is greater than the supply. And I don't know where price is going to have to be to equalize those two out. It's going to be far higher than where it is today. And that is your opportunity. So I'm going to jump in here. I'm going to show you some opportunities in copper. I call them copper stocks. Again, copper has a bright future as it's one of the gateway metals between oil and electric anything. Copper is a little bit further ahead in its journey, higher than some other areas, something like a uranium and even an oil. And again, this is just financial education only. You guys are going to have to do your own due diligence. You're going to have to research these companies so you know what you're buying. So first, I'm going to go with the copper price. This is pretty basic. This is a very long-term view. This was the last bull market in 2008. Came down, popped higher, and then we were in an increasing dollar value environment. And it was disinflationary. We didn't have too much inflation pressures. And what happens is you move sideways. And that's what copper did until you run into an expansionary phase of real estate and the inflation pressures come back. And then you get the launch in 2020. We broke out of this long-term downtrend line. This is about a decade long. Broke through it, and we are moving higher. And you can see these pause points. If you look at the chart, it broke out, it paused, broke out, paused, broke out. So we're seeing impulse moves before these pause. So one impulse move, pause, one impulse move, pause, another impulse move, and so on and so forth. And that's what we're seeing. And we're getting real, actually, I don't know if this is 460. We're getting real close to an all-time high. So this is going to be a very nice investment, I think, for the next decade. And here's Turquoise Hill. It is a company that I own. I bought it right in here. You draw the big trend line. This is a decade-long downtrend line. Broke to the upside. It is pausing through here, but I expect this. The path doesn't necessarily matter. And if you guys work yourself up over the path, like you must have gains right now, I don't operate that way. I see value, I see the downtrend break, and then I start to accumulate. If this move takes 6 months, 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, 5 years to materialize, I don't need this money. So I put it in there. I get the value, I load up, and then I wait for the value to be realized. And I know some of you guys, I mean, you see, I'm decent enough on a short-term basis to time some of these buys. And you guys are seeing some of that. But remember, that's not going to happen every single time. So when you see these big chart breaks, what you want to do is you want to position yourself. It's about positioning. It's about positioning and getting the value, and then that value will be realized over time. Here's Glencore. Glencore is a larger copper company. If you look at it from a big long-term perspective, we do have a little bit room to go before we hit its big resistance line, basically all-time highs. We've got a higher low stepping up in here. I kind of discount this because this was that COVID fear factor. But if you look, you can see that this thing was coming right to here. It turned, and we're heading higher. Glencore is I think it's a higher cost copper producer. So this thing will, if the price of copper keeps moving up, think this one's going to be explosive. Here's Trilogy Metals. We've got the downtrend line here. We're kind of just moving sideways here. It's a good company. I own it, and I'm just holding on. I'm being patient because this thing has, I did buy it on this break, and it's been kind of moving sideways. And sometimes stocks do that. They need to relax a little bit before they run. So I'm being patient with it, and this is a copper company. I think it's more of an exploration copper company than it is a producer at the moment. To Seiko Mines. This one's a cool chart. Massive downtrend line break right through here. We came up and paused for a little bit. Now we're moving on higher. So I like Seiko Mines. It's a smaller copper company. It's looking pretty good. Freeport mickMoran. Another downtrend break. Moving on to the upside. And when you sometimes like this one, it's so strong it didn't even pause. It just kept going up. So that's a very strong move. Look at the down move over here in 2008. That's insane. We've got Copperbank Resources. This is one that I purchased here recently. Come on up. Tagged this, created this line here. Cup and handle formation forming. This is a smaller exploration company. It does involve some risk. Look at the volume on the right-hand side. This guy's ready to go when it starts to break this area in here. I'm expecting this to have a pretty decent sized move whenever it does break, but patience is required here. Antofagasta, big, long chart break pattern here. This is a beautiful pattern. You got the resistance line. It broke through, came back and back tested. I know everyone on the channel knows this. I buy the back test. Right here, you buy it, and then it just went vertical. That's from $1,000 all the way to 1915 very quickly. Is it a great time to buy it right now? I don't know. I hate chasing stuff. I'd like to see this pull back to maybe down here, more like a 50-day. But maybe it doesn't pull back. I mean, if you look at back here, there's some crazy moves. So, yeah, it's a tough one on to buy or not. BHP Group's another one. I actually charted this out for everybody on the channel when this thing was breaking real time back in 2020. I said this is an inverted head and shoulders, shoulder, head, shoulder. You put this thing up over here. It's at least going to 85, 90 probably. And we've been moving up quite substantially. That one looks good from a long-term perspective. Rio Tinto, it broke in 2016 and it's just been on fire. You can draw another line across way back to about $60 and it broke that one too. Rio Tinto's crazy. Crazy moves. Anglo American Platinum. Sometimes you see these bowl-shaped patterns, and this one exhibits the bowl-shaped pattern. You got this bowl coming down and the bowl coming back up. So this one looks pretty good. It does have copper in it. It's got platinum group metals. It's got a whole bunch of good stuff. And I own a little bit of it. It's a good long-term hold. Nova Royalty. Now, this is a royalty company. I like royalty companies very much. They're probably one of my favorite, most highest. I'll put it, one of my largest holdings are in royalty companies because they don't have, they are involved with they get a revenue stream or a percentage of the revenue stream without any of the input costs. And if you're in a bull market, your input costs are going up and these guys don't have to worry about it. All they care about is price and volume. And I'm very heavily invested in the royalty companies because of those reasons. So if we have a large, big bull market, which usually comes along with higher oil prices, these royalty companies, they usually do very well. We had a nice big move higher. We were moving sideways, 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 and it was coming to a dead period. We had a two down days, bullish engulfing, big up day, 2 small down days. I'm like, this thing's ready to launch, and here we are launching. So that looks fantastic for a long-term hold, and it's not too late to get into this. This is a decent company. They have copper and nickel royalties. And here's Alphamen Resources. This is a tin company. And I don't know too many companies that you can invest in tin with, but look what we have here. Big downtrend line. We're coming up. We smacked our head on it. We pop to the upside. You may get a little sticky in here because there's a lot of buyers and sellers of previous areas. We've got volume stepping in, and tin is one of the most sought after metals in a commodity bull market. So I own Alphamen Resources. I think it's a good spot here to buy it. I know some people think, well, it's so high. I'm like, well, wait until it goes to $6 or $7. See how high it is then. So that is what I see in the copper, tin, all those kind of areas. Again, we've got this supply demand that's insane in copper. And we've got this massive push of the dollar declining behind us. Really good conditions. These guys have already started. Some of these guys are still the laggers, we'll call it, in the sectors. They're lagging behind, and those might be the ones that I'm focusing on and buying. Something like a copper bank or something like that. I already own a lot of the big diversified mining companies. And if you like the diversified mining companies like BHP, Vale, VALE, Rio, RIO, South 32, which is a different, that doesn't have copper, but it has some other stuff. That's SOUHY. Those are all good companies to be holding during a big commodity boom because they have a diversified revenue stream from all these different metals. And whatever metal goes up the most, they're capturing it. And they pay these gigantic dividends to you. They're like, here's another, 8% or 5% or whatever it is. And the stock keeps going up, but it seems like their dividend is remaining at 5, 6, 7%. And they're just paying out all these dividends. So I like that. It allows me to have a revenue. It allows me to invest in other companies with that dividend stream. If you guys like this content, give me a thumbs up. I appreciate you guys listening. This is Finding Value.